Hello and welcome to ARC Studio. I'm Inderpreet Shokar, Senior Analyst at ARC Advisory Group, and today we'll talk with ARC's Vice President Mike Guilfoyle, the recent author of the 2019 Industrial Cloud Application Platforms with Internet of Things Global Market Study. Hello and welcome, Mike. So tell us a little bit about the study.
Thanks for having me. For the purposes of this report, we focused on platforms that either targeted or could be leveraged for operational use. This is distinctly different from IT-specific use, though frankly many of these platforms are also the IT backbones of a lot of industrial companies. In terms of scope, the platform could be horizontal or industry vertical for the markets they serve. We also separated these cloud-centric platforms from many edge platforms available, which are covered in another ARC study, which focuses specifically on edge platforms. The study highlights 5 key capabilities. In a few cases, we made exceptions to a capability when a platform really had a distinct operational focus, and that was mostly the lack of an app marketplace. Those few exceptions are noted in the study. A few things which are discussed in detail in the study. For industrial markets, market share is still very much up for grabs. Outside of the transactional market share that AWS and Azure are fighting for, no one real provider can be considered the clear leader, really much less dominant. And to me, it's clear that together with machine learning and artificial intelligence, these modern cloud-based application development and runtime platforms are dramatically changing the industrial software marketplace.
Thank you, Mike. That was very helpful. So when it comes to cloud platforms, what do you think are some of the key things to think about for those wanting to leverage the full benefits modern software can provide?
That's a good question. Here are a few things to consider. Companies that are successful using cloud platforms understand they need to learn how to think in new ways about innovation instead of just trying to replicate the efforts of others like them. And because of this, they're very much open to expanding their sources of wisdom beyond their traditional ecosystems. The speed and accuracy of how a company recognizes and reacts to market signals using its unique expertise is how companies are going to differentiate themselves in digital economies. The loose phrase business agility that you often hear is used to describe this new way of achieving competitive excellence. And to date, cloud platforms provide the broadest and deepest tool set to support business agility. Many non-IT work groups will be tempted by no and low-code software to solve long-standing problems they just couldn't get addressed in the past due to ongoing conflict or constraints with the IT team. Even those with the best governance plans in place are likely to experience some form of shadow IT. I explore each of these aspects in the study as well as numerous others in depth in the report.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about why you think this is a growth market. Can you talk about why you think cloud platforms are so key to industrial innovation? And what are the underlying market characteristics driving growth here?
The study discusses in depth both market drivers and inhibitors. We'll briefly touch on the former here. First, there's economic models of platforms. Platform models are the future for software because the underlying economics ensure it. It's not just many of the buyer-driven arguments that we hear. There are also many reasons on the user side too. And these include the ability to get comfortable with technology and then pay for scale, as well as the well-understood shift of expense from CapEx to OpEx. There's also the impact of the network effect. When looking beyond hyperscalers, network effect is critical. The platforms that are seeing sustained success are those that are developing solutions that have the greatest network effect. And by that I mean they're impacting their users' value to their customers. There are also ecosystems and channels that come into play here. As platform providers have worked with their ecosystem to deliver value, those within them are product amplifiers, serving as de facto sales channels, particularly to regionalized adoption. There is, of course, the no and low-code application boom. These types of platforms are increasingly becoming available, and no and low-code tools enable more democratized use of platforms by subject matter experts and other business users that are key to the organization. There's also the cloud to edge connection. Cloud native applications for edge use are growing, and in particular, the data from this distributed environment is crucial for achieving the benefits of transformation and innovation that these platform providers promise. There's also the success of applications. Many providers that initially leaned on platform as a service models for industry have downplayed their platforms as standalone solutions and are now opting instead to promote outcome-based applications. With applications and managed services, users can focus on core competencies while limiting cost and process complexity. And many providers are having a lot of success deploying these types of applications. And finally, there's the acceleration of leaders. Companies with strong innovation backbones, and I mean that both in terms of organizational and technological innovation, are separating themselves from the pack. And the COVID-19 pandemic is simply highlighting the gap between these leaders and the rest of the market.
Thanks, Mike, for sharing your insight on cloud platforms with IoT and a little bit about your study as well. So that's about all the time we have for today. Audience members who would like more information, please contact an ARC client manager or the author directly. You can also reach us through our website, arcweb.com. Thank you and have a nice day.